Hello, welcome back to the IO Sportscast. With me, as always, I've got Ollie. How are you doing today, Ollie?
I'm good, mate. How are you?
I'm a little bit sniffly, not gonna lie. Had a very blocked nose so far today, so I'm on the Lemsip. Gonna hopefully get through this without too much of a sneezing fest. But actually, not a bad little day to be wrapped up in front of a TV and watching some Formula One. The Spanish Grand Prix. Um, it was all right. We're gonna jump straight into race ratings. And I think it was better than Portimão, but only because of Lewis's second stop. So I think, if I remember rightly, I give Portimão a 4.5, 5. So I think I'm going to give Spain like a 5, 5.5, just because Lewis's second stop gave something in the second half, even though it seemed fairly obvious that he was going to overtake him anyway.
Yeah.
It was just something extra. Um, what's your rating for the Grand Prix?
I'd give it. I'd say I agree with you. It was just slightly bit better than Portimao. I'd probably give it about 5.5, 6. There's some good bits, but most of it is Spain. Most of the time, it's pretty boring.
Yeah,
But
so 5.5, 6, slightly
yeah,
more than me.
yeah,
Great. Best driver, worst driver. Best driver. I'm actually torn between both my best and worst today. Um, for me, it's either Hamilton or Leclerc. Um, I mean, Hamilton just had a decent strategy, and while you expected him to get past Verstappen, like, he still got to pull that off, and he had to make the move around Valtteri Bottas as well. That was not like a nice team move.
yeah,
Um, so it was a good drive from Hamilton. Was a little bit dodgy off the line. Max had a great start. Lewis not so great.
yeah,
Uh, so he's not got top marks. But Leclerc, like, constantly pushing Valtteri, and actually looked a little bit like he stood a chance at a podium. And so I might give it to Leclerc. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, I'm gonna give it to Leclerc. I'm gonna give Leclerc,
Just
like, yeah, I'm gonna give him like an 8.5. Like, it was a
oh,
very strong race from him.
okay, okay. So my best driver. I probably agree with you. Um, I wanted Leclerc to get up to the podium just so it's a different driver. But as I say, he was pushing Valtteri for quite a bit during that race, and he was holding his own against the other guys. So yeah, I'd probably give him a 7.5.
Seven and
Yeah,
a half.
I
Nice.
wanted him to get onto the podium. But it's a shame he didn't.
It is a shame. And it was the classic three again.
Hamver bot.
Yeah. Worst driver. I'm a little bit torn between three drivers actually for this.
Ooh,
Mazepin, as per standard.
yep,
Fernando Alonso, basically just because of his strategy. Like, the Alpines actually had a fairly strong weekend up until the race. Ocon went backwards in the race. Alonso was looking good for most of it, but only because he'd done one stop and just extended its second stint out.
yeah,
But ending up P17, it's not fantastic. The other one was Nicholas Latifi, because he just didn't seem to do much. Now, he's actually, where he's finished is ahead of Alonso and ahead of the two Hasses. But yeah, I don't know. He never felt. Every time I saw him on track, it looked like he was going backwards. Um, I don't want to keep giving it to Mazepin.
So who you gonna choose between them three?
Uh, I I'm gonna go for the hot take and say Fernando Alonso, worst driver. I'm gonna give him like
Oh,
a 4.5.
where did Alonso start? He was
Uh,
10th. He started 10th.
yeah, I was gonna say both Alpines got into the Q3.
Yeah, finished started 10th and finished 17th.
Yeah, he's just gone backwards.
For me, I'm torn between two, Ocon and Mazepin. Obviously Mazepin for obvious reasons. But I think I'm going to give it to Ocon because he started fifth, and then he finished in ninth, and he got lapped as well by the leaders. But yeah, the fact that he started fifth, but then ended up going backwards during the race is. I expected more from him, considering where he was starting. In the race in qualifying, sorry, but he didn't deliver. So that's probably why I'll give him worst driver, and I give him a 4. No, I'd give him a 5, 4.5, 5.
Interesting.
How he fell backwards during the race.
But he did still score points, which for Alpine you've got to assume is what they're aiming for.
Yeah, but when you start in P5 and
you want to be getting more than 2 points. Yeah.
Yeah, and finishing P9, it's not good, is it?
Well, let's move on to our predictions. Neither of us were good at this. I think because we all went for the slightly out there predictions in just the vain hope we'd have both
something
Mercedes,
different.
both Mercedes and both Red Bulls fighting and something different happening. Qualifying, you said Hamilton, Verstappen, Perez, Bottas as your top 4. Well, Hamilton got pole, 100 poles.
Yep.
We'll talk about that later. But I think that was the only one you got right in the top 4.
What order did I put it in?
Hamilton, Verstappen, Perez, Bottas.
I got top 2 right.
I completely have muddled up qualifying then.
Yeah, it's top 4 was Hamilton, Verstappen, Bottas, Leclerc.
All right, fair enough. I got my prediction was Hamilton, Perez, Verstappen, Bottas.
Yeah, to be fair, we were both off, weren't we?
Yeah, so we both got Hamilton.
That's about it.
Yeah, in the race, you didn't do much better. You said Hamilton, Verstappen, Perez. So you got the top 2.
Yep.
I think we both overestimated Perez. For the race, I said Verstappen, Hamilton, Bottas, which for a long time looked to be on.
Yeah.
And then Hamilton's strategy played out, and he got past Max.
You got the right 3 drivers, just not in the right order.
Yeah. But that doesn't win much.
No, exactly.
Well, let's run through some of the things that happened. It was a fantastic start from Max.
Oh,
you saw it when he was lining up at the end of the formation lap. Like you saw he was pointed and ready to go. Got great traction. Lewis with a fairly average start. Like, it wasn't awful.
Yeah, but it wasn't his best.
It wasn't.
Starts.
And when you've got 600 metres run down to turn 1.
And you've got a powerful slipstream as well. Because you're at the front, so you're slipstreaming it, everyone behind you can just tuck in. Which is what Max did.
Yeah. If Lewis had got a good start, I think he may have just been able to fend him off. Because actually that turn into turn 1, I'm not sure if there was contact, but Lewis definitely made a swift move to the left to get out of the way.
I don't think there was. It didn't look like there was.
Yeah, it did look more like Lewis just being a bit thick and avoiding action.
Yeah.
But you got to say if Lewis is gone, sorry.
There wasn't any contact, I don't think.
Yeah, and if Lewis had had a decent start, then arguably he's got that extra half a car's length and probably doesn't get overtaken at that point. Ricciardo had a decent start, got up a couple of places into P5. And then the race sort of just settled down until the safety car. There was a few little overtakes in the back of the field, but once Verstappen and Hamilton had settled into the top 2, like within 6 laps, they'd got like a 7 or 8 second gap back to Leclerc in P3.
Yeah, no, that was crazy. That I saw that and I was like, if it's going to be like this, they'll end up lapping the whole field at this rate.
I mean,
But then obviously the safety car came out and
yeah, they were checking out. Leclerc got past Bottas, so it was sat in P3, really ruining Bottas's race. But those two at the front were just ridiculous in the starting phase.
They were so quick, it was unbelievable. It was just them two, wasn't it? you'd see the camera, it'd be them two, and then you just have to wait for like Leclerc and Bottas and the rest of them just to come past, and you're like, how have they got that much of a gap in the first 5 laps of a race?
Yeah, it was.
I know they're on the soft tyres. I know that everybody was on the softs, but still, that's a big gap to have out in the first 5 laps of a race. 7-second lead.
Yeah, mental.
From second to third.
But we did get a safety car. Poor Yuki, he's had a terrible couple of weekends, hasn't he? This has not been a good double header for him.
Because I was watching the timings and I just saw Tsunoda go down. I thought, he's got into the pits or something. And then it just like cuts to him on the edge of turn 10, and I'm like,
yeah, I didn't see him dropping the timings. I just saw the yellow flags in sector 2-3, so I looked down at who was there. And
and I just saw Tsunoda at the bottom. I was like, he must have spun or something, or put it in the gravel somewhere.
Yeah, he called on the radio and said, engine stop. It apparently is a fuel pump issue that they had.
Right.
I'm not sure if that's been officially confirmed, but what I was watching after the race, like the F1 post-race stuff on YouTube, it looked like a fuel pump issue, which is it's like a real shame, because the AlphaTauris could have really done with a good weekend all round.
Yeah.
Yuki in particular, but also Gasly's just not had a good weekend, so having a good race would have been really helpful.
Personally, I think they left it quite a bit to bring the safety car out, didn't they?
They did leave it quite a while, yeah.
He was on the edge of thingy, and obviously if anybody had spun out there, they'd have collected him, wouldn't they? So
yeah. I don't know
why they brought it out so late.
When he was getting out of the car started rolling back, so I don't think he'd engaged like everything correctly. Cause
I think he'd put it in neutral, but then he obviously took his steering wheel off, so he'd have had to like put it back on, put a brake on, and then like turn it a little bit so it didn't roll back.
Yeah, I don't know what the ways, what way the brakes actually work. Like when you switch the engine off, if a handbrake's meant to be applied.
I don't know. I'm not an F1 engineer.
No, I'm not. I'm just thinking. There's been a lot of times where, like both rear brakes have just locked on someone turning into a turn, like Carlos Sainz in Bahrain, last year. Was it last year? Maybe even this year.
I know what you mean.
Both his
brakes
just locked.
Just locked up and he just spun, didn't he?
Yeah, and I remember someone saying that is normally it was caused by the same sensor that kicks in when you switch your engine off. So I wonder whether Yuki just hadn't, whether there's something you need to do before you turn your engine off, or if by releasing the steering wheel that brake then opens. And he was on a hill, so he started rolling back, got back in the seat and sorted it all out.
Turned it a little bit. It
was a long time before the safety car got called, but it did get called. And actually a few little jumps into the pit, which I wasn't quite expecting.
No, I wasn't either.
The Williams, it was Giovinazzi that kicked it off. Giovinazzi jumped in.
Yeah, but then he was in the pits for about
horrendous
4 days.
Yeah, so
it reminded me
35.1 second stop.
It reminded me of Mercedes at Hockenheim in 2019.
Yeah,
because originally they thought they brought out Kimi's tyres, but they didn't. When they went to take it out, I think it was the front left. It had a puncture because the guy banged on it and it went flat.
Yeah. Front left tyre was.
So they had to go back in and bring another set out.
Yeah, and that is fantastic work from that mechanic to see that was the case.
Oh yeah, if he hadn't banged on that,
they're sending him out for another lap,
and then he'll have to come back in again.
Yeah, and even if it's behind a safety car, that's still so much time you're losing.
Yeah, exactly. So good on that mechanic.
Yeah, so fair
but
play.
Obviously not so good that he was stationary for about 4 days in the pit lane.
Yeah, but again, I'd take a 35-second pit stop over a lap.
Yeah, because that could have depending on how bad it was, it could have been a potential accident.
But, yeah, that's a good point. But but then from that, the two Williams drivers double stacked, and both not the fastest stops. But
yeah,
I guess
it wasn't the best double stacking.
When you're double stacking, though, I guess at least getting both your drivers out at a reasonable pace is key.
Yeah.
And Giovinazzi was so far back, even with a safety car, they could afford a couple of seconds extra.
Yeah. They'll have to get tips from Mercedes because they're one of the best at double stacking. Most of the time.
Most of the time. But that actually set the Williams boys onto quite a good trajectory had they have made it work.
Yeah.
Up until the last 10 laps, it looked like
Russell was up into P10 at one point, and I was like, go on, lad, please, get a point.
Yeah, even like 10 laps from the end, he was catching Fernando Alonso for the last point position. I was so hyped.
I was buzzing. I was like, go on. I was literally screaming at my TV.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I then looked down at the cars behind, and like Stroll was like half a second back, the next car half a second back.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay, this is a chain, and it's just going to end badly. But
he was up to 7th at one point. Obviously, after everybody had done the first stops, and I thought he's not going to maintain that. Be happy if he gets into the points. But yes, from like 10 laps to go, he was in the top 10. I was like, go on, George, go on, lad. But then,
so those guys came in.
Overtaken.
A few laps later, when
everything sorted itself out.
Everything calmed back down. The Williams guys got past both the Hasses. There was a little bit of tussling between Stroll and Alonso for P10, 11, somewhere like that. The restart, Max went much earlier than I thought. I thought he was.
Yeah, I thought
he was going to leave that.
After he came out the last corner, he went, didn't he? I thought he was going to get round the corner after the chicane. He went. I thought he was going to wait till he was on the pit straight and then floor it.
Yeah, but I mean, it worked. He kept hold and had a very good gap. There was a little camera shot down the pit straight as Max went through turn 1, and I was like, "Oh man, Leclerc's on the back of Hamilton. This could be tasty." And then they checked out again.
Yeah. It was just a two-man show for one point. Most of that race, wasn't it?
It really was. Fast forward a few laps. They've got their gap back. I mean, ridiculously how fast they get that gap. But they both had their rear rights like really blistered. And
yeah. Which was weird because it's not normally the rears that blister, it's normally the fronts.
Yeah, and it's normally the front left at Spain that's the one that's in trouble.
Because there's so many right-handers.
So yeah, I don't know whether that was just... I don't know whether turn 10's starting to have an effect or whether it was just so much sliding going on in the dirty air of everything. And
I don't know, actually.
I have no idea. It was very strange. But Hamilton ended up just being like, let's take some front wing out of the car at the pit stop, and he just sat behind Verstappen.
He was getting close at one point. He had DRS quite a few times. He couldn't actually close down the gap because he was too far. Yeah,
he was never
away,
properly close enough for an actual overtake. But it was almost like we were saying about Verstappen last race. That he was just sat behind Bottas, just keeping a gap, and it was like Lewis was like well within the gap window to, make an overtake happen if Max made a mistake. It wasn't like Lewis was going to dive down the inside at turn 1 or anything like that.
Yeah, I reckon if Max hadn't come in when he did, Hamilton would have probably got it because that was one of the closest that was the closest he was to him. In that segment when they were battling, when Max went into the pits, and then when Max went into the pits, it wasn't very Red Bull-esque. The pit stop.
It was very not Red Bull-esque. Yeah.
They had a 4-second pit stop, I think it was.
4.2. Yeah.
That's double. That's what double the.
That's like
double the normal amount of time.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, something's happened there. And then 4.2, and then Lewis just went, and then he stayed out for a little bit longer.
Lewis did out a lot longer than I think. I always thought maybe 1 lap, maybe 2 laps.
I thought he was going to do that.
He stayed out, 3-4 laps?
Yeah, I think it was 4.
And
then the gap to Verstappen was like 19, 18 seconds.
Yeah, he lost
22 seconds.
A load of time. It's like, has he thrown it away? Like, what is going on?
I don't know.
And at that point, you're like, okay, let's switch
At
off.
that point, I thought Verstappen's probably got this in the bag. But
Yeah, Verstappen P1, Hamilton P2, probably Bottas P3. Let's just switch off.
yeah,
Actually, before Lewis's pit stop, when he was doing the overcut and trying to just make some time up, he did lose a little bit of time because of our good friend Nikita Mazepin.
yeah,
And I think for the first time, we've actually heard someone other than maybe Christian Horner on the radio to
the FIA.
the FIA,
Well,
race
yeah.
control.
Yeah, and it was weird because it came up with team radio and it says Mercedes and FIA. I thought, what's this? And then it said, and then Toto was like, Michael, blue flags, you need to tell him to move. And I was like, can we have more of that, please?
I'd love that. I wouldn't want every single message that goes up to race control because I'm sure there's quite a lot.
Like,
But normally
I'd like a few.
Yeah, normally it's just we get the odd message from Christian Horner or the Red Bull drivers being very vocal to to race control.
You actually get to hear the actual team principal speaking
rarely.
to the FIA. And I was
Rarely.
like, I'll take this. At first, I thought it was like Mercedes and Red Bull because it was the same colour as Red Bull, but then it said FIA above it, and I was like, "Oh, what's this?" And then obviously Toto says, "You need to tell him Nikita about blue flags."
Mm.
So,
But yeah, Lewis then came in, had a relatively alright stop. It was a 2.7, but
better than a 4.2.
agreed. But he'd lost quite a lot of time doing the overcut.
Yeah. Didn't he come out third after that?
I think he came up P2.
How did Bottas get past him?
I'm looking very quickly through my notes.
I think.
Oh no, I think Bottas was past him from his second stop. From the first stop, I think he came out P2. I think they had the gap to Bottas.
Right.
Anyway,
Yeah. I think yeah.
Around this sort of time, Fernando Alonso complained of a little bit of an issue he was having.
Spark plug, he said.
I don't know what he said. I thought he said black screen.
I think he said it's a misfire, something to do with a spark plug. I don't know.
Whatever. He had some sort of engine issue. Maybe that contributed to him dropping down the places later on and just not being on form. But
yeah,
I think really strategy did play more of a part in that.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, it was just a bit of a lacklustre race from Alonso.
I thought he'd have done better with it, obviously, considering where he qualified and it was his home race as well.
Mm.
And he normally likes Spain.
Yeah.
Fernando.
Yeah. Well, there was one man that didn't pit during all of this. Kimi Raikkonen.
Yeah, he started on the mediums.
Really starting to push the mediums. Pirelli, I think, said that the mediums could do 40 laps.
40 laps, yeah.
And he stopped on lap 38.
Nice.
Which is probably about where they were going to be. If you look at all the different graining and blistering that the different tyres had, I don't think 40 laps was doable. Definitely not racing laps were doable.
No.
So I think actually Raikkonen doing 38, he probably did stay out a little too long. But
yeah, but he was the only one to start on the mediums, wasn't he? So
yeah. But he did also then make the timing screens a little bit strange. The timing tower, because suddenly you ended up having Ricciardo and Raikkonen fighting for P5, which was was a little bit strange.
I was in P5 and I saw 0 stops. I thought, oh yeah, he's not pitted yet, has he?
Yeah, it makes sense. There wasn't really much that then happened until Hamilton's second stop.
That surprised me. That I thought, why has he gone back into the pits?
Yeah, well, so Hamilton stopped on lap 28 for the first one. It was only a 15-16 lap stint, which was really actually quite a quick stint. But in that time, like halfway through that stint, Hamilton and Verstappen had got the gap to Leclerc in P4 to 23 seconds. Like, mad that they were just checking out that quickly. Hamilton was obviously going for the 2-stop. I didn't expect him to stop that early though.
I didn't.
Because then that's another 23 laps if they were brand new mediums, which I don't think they were.
They weren't. They were just rubbered
Just
in.
scrubbed in, yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
And then he was just after he came out, he was like a man possessed. He was literally on fire, wasn't he? He was like
yeah,
he was taking like 2 seconds a lap out of Verstappen up front, and I was like, he's gonna catch him a lot quicker than what we think he is.
yeah. He pitted lap 43-ish, somewhere around there, and then a couple of laps later has banged in 2 fastest laps, both in the 20.7s. Like, yeah, he was just on it. And then he caught Valtteri up.
Pretty quickly as well.
Yeah. There was the team call
Bottas.
to Valtteri, which was, don't hold Lewis up.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Valtteri just didn't hear that, but he definitely... It wasn't a clean move. I don't want to outright say he, nefariously held Lewis up, but given everything that's going on with Valtteri at the minute, and his whole, that whole mentality of driving for himself,
being selfish,
you can absolutely understand why he didn't give him the cleanest of overtakes.
Yeah, it was weird that Lewis had to use DRS to pass him. I thought and in that lap he actually lost time to Verstappen because of Bottas.
Yeah, he went from being like 7/10, 8/10 faster to being 0.3 of a second slower.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a big chunk.
I was waiting for the Valtteri. It's James. But I don't think we didn't get that, did we? So
no. Well, I didn't hear it. If we did,
I didn't hear it anyway.
But then, yeah, Lewis was into P2 and had like 15 laps ish to hunt Max down, and that went way too quick. But yeah, then Max did get overtaken. It was a very easy overtake in the end. It wasn't that fought after. Turn 1's always a nice place to do any overtake, especially at Spain. With the little
exactly.
chicane. Max was complaining that the Mercs just had too much grip. I think he knew, at the start of Lewis's second stint, that they were going to be faster on the mediums. And by not covering him off, it was it Hungary when Lewis fought back?
Hungary 2019, they were all saying.
I think that was actually a call to Verstappen, like it could be Hungary again. Was that?
And it was.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm surprised they didn't bring him in. I'd have thought they'd have brought him in after Lewis had come in. But
yeah. But I'm glad they didn't. Not in the sense because Lewis won, but because it then actually gave us something to watch in the second half of the race.
The last few laps anyway.
Well, had they covered it off, it's going to be 1-2, maybe Bottas gets in there, makes things a bit ugly, but he didn't have any pace, so they'd have got past him anyway.
Yeah.
But at the same time that Lewis was overtaking Max Verstappen, unfortunately I was watching the timing towers as well, and poor George Russell went from fighting for P10 to P14.
I know, and I was devastated.
I knew it was going to be difficult once I saw the train happen on the timings. I knew it's going to be difficult to keep Stroll and Raikkonen and Gasly behind.
Yeah.
But I just had that little bit of hope that maybe something would go right, and he'd be able to fend them off. But
I was like, he's in 10th, and then I just thought, oh no. I was like, I really wanted him to get his first points in that Williams. It's gonna come. I reckon this season he will finish in the top 10.
I really hope so. He's got a much better car to do it with, and I think he's just more confident. That stint, I think that race at Mercedes
is giving him a lot of confidence.
Yeah, even though it didn't go right, I think he's taken so much from that.
Yeah, he said that, didn't he?
Yeah.
Plus, he scored. I know he didn't score as many points as we all wanted him to, but he still scored points in that Mercedes.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, he will score points this season. I can guarantee it. I don't know when, but he will.
Yeah, let's hope so. And then it was just the rest of the field was just sort of cross the line when you can. I'm just looking through for penalties. There's Pierre Gasly got a penalty towards the start of the race.
Oh, for his, yeah, 'cause he didn't park in his box properly, was he? He was outside of his box.
A little pit box excursion, yeah. And that was quite a way out of the box. Like,
yeah, his front tyres were over the top of the box, weren't they?
Yeah.
Which was like, that's illegal.
A bit of a strange situation. I don't know. I feel that's just.
Who else got a penalty?
I don't know if anyone else did get a penalty. I know a couple of Lando got a black and white flag for his defending move.
There was quite a lot of dodgy defending going down that back.
There was a lot of
going down the start finish straight. There was a lot of weaving about, wasn't there?
Yeah. So yeah, Lando got a black and white flag for it. Stroll right at the end of the race, like 2 or 3 laps before the end. Gasly and Stroll fighting for the P10 position. Stroll again had a very late move. But I don't think there were any further penalties. Having said that, Alonso and Stroll were under investigation. More so Stroll because of the Turn 2 incident.
Turn 1, Turn 2, wasn't it?
And Stroll didn't rejoin the track properly. Now,
nope.
That went to the finish line without being announced. So as far as I'm aware, nothing's come from it. I would be surprised if anything comes from it, given they both finished out of the points. And
yeah, he did let him through more or less straight after that, didn't he? Well, he gave him the place back.
Yeah, and I'm sure the argument will be that he got pushed off the track rather than made a mistake going off the track. Yeah. But even so, you know, you do really have to go around that ball hard. So, yeah, I've not heard anything as of recording. We're recording this like an hour after the race. We've not heard anything. So, provisionally, Stroll in 11th, Alonso in 17th.
Well, yeah, I've just got the F1 app up and it's still saying Stroll is in 11th. There's nothing.
Yeah, I can't see anything happening with that. I don't know who it was, but someone did get a second warning for track limits. I don't know who, I don't know where. I just remember hearing that while I was writing some notes down. But obviously nothing else came from that. So, well,
I'm trying to think if I could. No, I can't remember who it was.
Well, I think that's the fastest we've gone through the events of a race, and I think that really sums up Spain.
Yep.
Lewis Hamilton with his 98th win of his career, which is just a ridiculous statistic. 100th pole.
He's going to get 100. He's going to get 100 wins this season.
I mean, that's just not even like comprehensible numbers. Like, we've watched his entire career, we still can't understand how it happened.
100 wins and 100 poles and 98 wins.
Yeah. Sixth win in Spain and fifth in a row, which is...
That's a record.
That's ludicrous. Mercedes really have been dominant.
Consecutive finishes at one track.
Verstappen second.
Yeah, Verstappen second.
Fastest lap with 1:18.149, I think was what my note says. Really handy with single point for Max. You know, when you look at the end of the season, I don't think it's going to be close enough for fastest lap points. But in terms of keeping the pressure on Lewis, just having that in the back of the mind that he's able to get that extra point when he needs to. I think that's definitely.
Well, Lewis is 14 points clear.
Yeah.
Of Verstappen in second.
Yeah.
And I saw a stat that this is the best start to his career ever.
Yeah.
Or for Mercedes or something. It's
I think
the best start he's had to a season.
94 points out of 104 possible is...
Three wins and a second in it, he's had. Yeah, not finished third yet. And if he carries on like that, he's probably going to get a record amount of points in a.
This is Lewis Hamilton at the end of his career.
Yeah, when people say he's past it, he's got 94 points out of a possible however many he could have got.
Yeah, he's missed out on 10 points after 4 races. That's the football equivalent of going half a season with only wins.
Yeah, exactly.
That's ridiculous.
That is. That's mental.
Valtteri Bottas P3, and I think he takes P3 in the championship as well.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
Still, I mean, it's now no longer his worst season with Mercedes, but it's still not fantastic in terms of results. He definitely needs to be top 2.
Verstappen's on 80 points.
Yeah.
And Bottas is on 47.
Yeah. I think that really shows you this is a 2-horse race and not a 4-horse race that we wanted.
Yeah, but we're still, as long as we still get it, as long as it's still close, then.
Yeah. Behind the top those 3 guys though, it is a little bit spicy. You got Leclerc, Perez, Ricciardo were the next 3, but in the championship, Norris
is fourth
on 41 points, and Leclerc is on 40 points.
Yeah.
That's tasty. Yes, please.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, there's not that many. There's 7 points between Bottas, Norris, and Leclerc.
Yeah,
so...
and Norris finished P8 today.
Yeah, which isn't his best result so far, but
I think it's his first result this year outside the top 5,
which is good.
Which is mental for the McLarens.
Yeah, exactly.
Perez 32 points, Ricciardo 24 points.
Yep.
They're just not firing on all cylinders just yet. And actually, with Perez, it sort of brings us back to the point we said at the start of the season, was that if Sergio doesn't get very close to Max in terms of performance and results, then it is really a problem with the second car.
With that second seat.
Yeah, and I mean, we're now at the point where he needs to start upping his game. 4 races in should be enough for someone with Sergio's experience to really be getting the most out of the car. And if that is what he's doing, we need to be having those second seat conversations again, because that car is obviously set up for just Verstappen. Which, yes, makes sense, but if Verstappen really does have that car set up just for him, you know, Red Bull are only ever going to have one car in the race to play with.
And also in the title fight as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think this year it is just going to be a straight shootout between Hamilton and Verstappen, but they both need their they need their teammates to be there to play that strategic part.
Yeah.
And Red Bull are just not giving drivers a chance. Now, I'm assuming that is because Perez has now got the best from the car. If he's still taking time to settle in, then we've underestimated Sergio quite a lot. But this is now a very experienced driver we're talking about. We're not talking about someone who's come through the AlphaTauri ranks, or in Albon's case,
junior team.
Yeah, or in Albon's case, getting rushed through.
Yeah,
we are very much talking about this being. Sergio Perez has been racing for over a decade. He's more than experienced enough. He has a race win now, and it's not happening. It didn't happen for Ricciardo, and you could argue he was fairly experienced, but since then they've had a number of drivers, and now we've got Sergio, a very experienced driver who can't get this, within that 3/10 of a second each lap. It's just a little bit. I just don't understand it.
Yeah, neither do I.
When we talk about Valtteri being behind Lewis, most of the time it's when he's in traffic that it's the real issue. You know, in terms of actual race pace, he's there or thereabouts most races. Even with a mistake like today, he still was there causing a bit of a problem pit wise, and it's just a bit like where is Perez gonna find that time from to be the second guy at Red Bull on a consistent basis? I'm hoping by the middle of the season that he is there. I just don't know what it is. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I don't either. But so if it's not Perez, then it's definitely, as you said, it's definitely that Red Bull seat, and they need to do something about it. Otherwise, in the future they won't have happy drivers.
Yeah. The other thing I want to touch on, just before we go to predictions for Monaco, the changes that have been made to this track. Turn 10, which has gone from being an end of a DRS straight hairpin or near hairpin diving opportunity to a sweeping left-hander that can't really be used as a massive overtaking spot. And also, they've still not changed that last chicane. Oh.
They need to use the normal. Get rid of that. Just not use that last chicane.
Yeah, I tried to do some research into why they don't do that, and I think the only thing that ever comes up is safety, because the amount of gravel runoff is not that much.
Isn't it? Yeah.
And when you're talking about these cars that are ridiculous with downforce and high corner speeds, like it is possible to see them just fly through that gravel. Like actually, we saw in qualifying Sergio lose it. He lost it fairly early in the turn, and managed to somehow stop just before the gravel. And the commentators were a little bit shocked that he managed to do that. Now you imagine losing it halfway through the extended turn. Not only is the apex, quite a few meters later, you're carrying more speed. You're not braking into it.
Yeah.
So suddenly, actually, you're talking about, quite a lot more potential speed going into that turn, and that bit of runoff that Sergio used was the track you'd be on for that turn had the chicane not been there. You can understand why it's not happened.
Yeah,
I would say let's just find a better way to stop the cars for that turn, so we can have the chicane removed, because it does destroy that whole last run into the straight.
Exactly. It's just I don't like it. I'd just have just use the normal bit. So then you get a better run out of that corner into the.
Yeah. What's your take on turn 10, the new turn 10 layout?
I don't know. I know it's only one race. I'll have to see how it goes in future. Because obviously, before turn 10, you could just come and dive bomb down the inside. Before,
yeah.
But as you say, now it slows it down and takes out that overtaking opportunity, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I guess a lot of drivers were complaining about grip to this race, so maybe we do need to see it for a couple of more years. But
yeah,
my initial impression is not great. I like that hairpin chance. You're coming off. You look at the set of turns before that, 7, 8, and 9. Very technical, very easy to drop it onto the curb and spin there. Blind over the crest right-hander at 9 onto the DRS straight. Like you're going to be pumped full of adrenaline going down that straight. So if you see a chance there, you're going to want to take it.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
So it's not like a normal end of the straight hairpin where you're just driving fairly quickly. You've got, before you're getting on there, it's a bit like Castle. You've got that, if I make a mistake, that's it. I could be out the race.
Yeah.
So you've got that extra adrenaline before you even get on the straight. Let's see how it goes, but at the minute I'm not a fan. I'd argue we've also got bigger things to worry about at Spain than just 10.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, if that's it for Spain, I think let's move on to predictions for Monaco. I can't believe we're actually talking about Monaco already.
Yeah, I know, man. Go too quick.
This year is absolutely flying by. I don't really know what to predict in Monaco. I mean, Lewis is on form. The Mercedes is now happy with slow corners. And it's a track where the best drivers thrive.
Yeah, but Red Bull normally like Monaco because it's high downforce.
Yes, but they do, yeah. I think I'm still going to give the edge to Lewis. Only just, though. I think this is going to be a ridiculously close qualifying.
Ooh.
I'm going to give Lewis his 101 pole positions. That's ridiculous. and Verstappen second. I think it'll be a lot closer between. I said this last time. I think it's still going to be a lot closer between Bottas and Perez. But do not write out Charles Leclerc.
No, especially at his home race as well.
It's a home race in a Ferrari that he's getting the most out of, and it's not a high-speed track. It could be very, very tight at the top, especially if Lando turns up. Like, we're talking that top 5 could be very tasty. But I'm gonna give it to Hamilton and be on pole, Verstappen second, and probably Bottas third. Oh, that's really safe though.
I'm gonna throw mine out there. I'm gonna go Verstappen, Paul, Hamilton second, Leclerc third.
That's a prediction.
Yeah, because Red Bull normally like Monaco, they normally suit more high downforce circuits better.
Yeah. When it comes to the race, does Verstappen for you convert that pole into a win?
It's Monaco, isn't it? Not many will take it. I don't know. I don't want him to. I will go Hamilton, number 99.
Hamilton for number 99.
Yeah. I reckon it'll come out. If there's an accident, if there's a safety car, it might all change, and probably strategy will play a big part in it.
You know, I'm just thinking, normally after Monaco we have Canada, and Canada's not happened this year. If Lewis wins in Monaco and then wins in Turkey, I'm going to be furious that he didn't do it at Canada. I'm going to be
it's Monaco, then it's Azerbaijan, then it's Turkey.
Oh, great. Even better. Because then there's that's a much better excuse. I was thinking it's possible then for him he would have won 100 at Canada, or potentially, and that would have been like for his career. Canada has played such a special spot.
Yeah, didn't that where he get his first win in Canada?
Yeah, first pole. Yeah.
Oh man,
like that would have been really special for him.
Yeah, it would have been.
And the fact it's not on the track this year, not on the calendar this year, is disappointing.
It would be good if he got his 100th win at his home Grand Prix as well.
That would be.
But he's going to get it before
spectacular. I hope he gets it before that, because.
Yeah, no, yeah, I do as well. But the absolute scenes if he gets his 100th win.
If he goes 2 months and only gets 2 wins.
Yeah, but it's not going to happen. But I'm just saying, if Britain was earlier on in the calendar,
yeah,
like where Turkey is, then and he got his 100th win at home, everybody would be going mental. In a good way.
Yeah. So you've got Hamilton winning in Monaco.
Yeah.
I'm assuming then Verstappen second.
Leclerc third.
And Leclerc third. Are you really holding Leclerc as third? You think he's gonna keep Bottas and Perez behind him?
It's Monaco, isn't it?
It is. But also mistakes do happen at Monaco.
Yeah. That is anybody could win it. I don't know.
And there's a few drivers. I'm just looking down the list now. There's a few drivers that are not immune to having crashes, even especially at Monaco. But normally, don't write out either of the Hasses having an accident. They're
probably Mazepin.
Rookies at Monaco is two words that should not be put together.
Yeah.
But Verstappen's had a fair few accidents in Monaco. I feel like Gasly's not done great at Monaco, but that could just be a false perception. I'm curious to where Ricciardo will finish. For me, though, I just can't see past Lewis at the minute. Like, especially if Lewis is on pole, I can't see him losing it. The only way he can lose it is through a pit stop error.
Yeah.
So I'm going to stick Hamilton and Verstappen still as 1-2. Because I'm being so safe, I will throw out a different driver for third. I'm going to just throw it out there for Perez. I'm going to stick with you, Checo. Even though I've not listed you in my top 3 in the quali either. I'm gonna name Perez as 3rd place for the race. And I just hope something happens. Like in a good way, not in like a crash safety car happens.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I can't. These cars are just way too big to have going around Monaco. But when it does happen, when an overtake does happen, it's normally a pretty solid overtake.
Yeah.
So I've got, I'm going to say Hamilton, Verstappen, Perez.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Fair. Good prediction. That they're both bold predictions then.
I think yours is slightly bolder.
Which would be a Hamver bot again.
Yeah.
For the 18th millionth time.
Right. Is that everything?
I think it is, mate, yeah.
Well, if that's the case, thank you all very much for listening. This has been the Spanish Grand Prix podcast. Ollie, thanks again for being here.
No worries.
And yeah, you can follow us on YouTube. Hit the subscribe button, the notification bell, and the thumbs up icon. That would really help us. And make sure to just leave a comment and let us know what you want to hear from us. We'll still be doing race reviews after every Grand Prix, but in between, when there's gaps off, let us know what you want to hear, whether it be other sports or just more detailed conversations about things within Formula 1. Make sure to check us out on Spotify and Apple Podcasts as well. Just search IO Sportscast on there. And our socials of Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. We do not have Facebook. IO Sportscast on there as well. Goodbye.
Goodbye.